So I want to give you a brief history, however, of what VSA Arts Rhode Island is, because since 1996 I've been the director of VSA Arts Rhode Island, and I know a bunch of you in the audience remember when VSA Arts RI was called Very Special Arts. You know, it was special as in different, not regular. So we dumped that name as soon as we could. And in 1999, at long last, the concept of special was replaced with the fundamental idea that access to a creative life is simple, profound, and part of the entire spectrum of human condition. Now, only my mom and dad are allowed to call me special. So VSA, vision of an inclusive community, strength in shared resources, and access to the arts. VSA was founded by Ambassador Jean Kennedy Smith as an affiliate of the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. And here in Rhode Island, it was originally established at the fabulous Rhode Island State Council for the Arts when Iona was the director there. And it was launched then as a freestanding organization in 1988. And the purpose of VSA then and now is to provide opportunities for people with disabilities to participate in all aspects of art and culture. So let me be clear about that for a minute. VSA was never intended as a charity, a sweet little heartwarming program to engage the afflicted in macaroni and glitter puffy paint. It was never designed to provide arts and cultural experiences in that special room down the hall, and it was never supposed to be a separate but equal series of programs. Everybody in this room knows that the creative drive and access to a creative life is not a gift to be limited to just the fortunately fully able. So VSA Arts was designed to empower individuals and eliminate societal barriers. Now, the arts provide a vehicle that enable many of us with many kinds of disabilities to express thoughts and feelings long kept hidden, to be a gateway to enter the mainstream. And that's what we at VSA do and endeavor to do every day. We work with children and adults with disabilities to discover the power and pleasure of creative self-expression and really to try and alter society's perceptions of what our limitations are. Additionally, we partner with really important community organizations to help them make the necessary accommodations to welcome people with disabilities into their midst. And, you know, just between us, making those accommodations is not easy. There's a lot more involved than just, you know, ramping the front door or making sure there are handicapped stalls in the bathroom. So in this process, disability advocates can appear to cultural organizations and organizers as really unsatisfiable and excessively demanding. Those of us with disabilities, well, we want to be welcomed and sometimes feel that the organizers, who generally have full use of their limbs and senses, may lack the real deep appreciation about what successful access really means. And as someone who has a foot, and a crutch or two as it may seem, in both camps, I organize events and I also am a patron at events. So I know that communication between these two groups can be difficult. As any of you and many of you have worked in depth with me over the years, you know, sometimes I can get a little cranky. Right, Randy? So really and truly, I want to take this opportunity to thank our many partners for the commitment, the time, and the resources that they have devoted to our shared vision of inclusion. VSA Arts has had the honor and the pleasure to work with fantastic partners across our state. Obviously, RISD Museum and Newport Art Museum, the GAM Theater and Trinity Rep, Everett Dance, First Works, Pawtucket Arts Festival, and everybody in that alphabet soup from AS220 to PPAC. And everyone in this state contributed when we created the Circle of Clay tile mural at Hasbro Children's Hospital. Really, together, we have opened minds, educated and empowered artists, and developed enthusiastic audiences who participate and contribute to the cultural life of our state. And in particular this evening, I really want to acknowledge the critical role of Rhode Island Council on the Humanities, whose support has enabled us to really elevate the conversation about disability beyond individual fears and personal biases to see the greater value of a community that goes out of their way to include us that sometimes have really complicated needs. Rich stepped up way back in the early 90s. Following the passage of the ADA, they assisted us in sponsoring a symposium at URI's Centennial Celebration entitled 100 Years of Change, People with Disabilities and Their Emerging Profile in American Society. It was really tough to be emerging in the 90s. Then, in more recent years, they contributed to our conversation in collaboration with GAM Theater's production of Elephant Man. That was amazing. We explored not only the viewpoint of one man with severe deformities, but got to talk about the larger questions about ideals of beauty, justice, how society interacts with all of us others who have marginalized voices. And now, following a highly successful, rich-supported project entitled Lucy Truman Aldrich, Redefining Disability, Ability, and the Geography of Culture, I get to continue working with my brilliant friend Gloria Jean Maserati as a scholar in residence. Rhode Island's Lucy Truman Aldrich was deaf. She was the oldest child of U.S. Senator Nelson Aldrich, the sister of Abby Aldrich Rockefeller, one of the founders of the Museum Art, and an avid and active art collector who donated much of her collection to RISD Museum. She has been very overlooked, but with continued rich support embracing this project, we're now researching more about Lucy's life and her incredible, fascinating account of being kidnapped by Chinese bandits. Ultimately, we're going to develop a multimedia performance that will be appropriate and relevant for both deaf and hearing audiences. And y'all are going to want to stay tuned for that, because that is really going to be amazing. So I am really proud to be accepting the Tom Roberts Award for Creative Achievement, and I'm really immensely grateful for the fabulous Christina DiChiara for having nominated me. I really want to accept this on behalf of all our partners and participants, and also on behalf of all of you, because you have been really brave rebels who hang in there when times get tough and resources get scarce. You keep an eye on the larger picture and greater vision above the chatter of the day-to-day. You rise above it when sometimes it just might seem easier to go back to the way things used to be, but you don't. And I really say thank you. You have absolutely done more good than you will ever know. As I said at the beginning, I'm a visual artist, but I really depend on and love words. So in closing, I would like to share with you this brief poem by my colleague, Jim Ferris. It's called Poems with Disabilities. I'm sorry, this space is reserved for poems with disabilities. I know it's one of the best in the book, but the Poems with Disabilities Act requires us all to make reasonable accommodations for poems that just are not normal. There is a nice space a few pages over. In fact, don't really tell anyone. I think it's better than this one. I myself prefer it. Actually, I don't see any of those poems right now myself, but you never know when one might show up, so we have to keep this space open. You can't always tell them just by looking at them either. Sometimes they'll look just like a regular poem when they roll in. You're reading along and suddenly everything changes. The world tilts a little, angle of vision jumps. Your entrails aren't where you left them. You remember your aunt died of cancer at just your age, and maybe yesterday's twinge means something after all. Your fragile, sloppy heart beats a little faster, and then you know. You just know. And the poem is right where it belongs. So, I don't mean to go all Sally Field on your asses, but thank you for making me and VSA Arts feel that we are right here where we belong. I really appreciate it, and thank you.